It's the Full Force News Burst brought to you by GeneralsJoes Reborn.com with me, Chris McLeod AKA Diagnostic 80. We've managed to grab IguanaBee's creative director and CEO, Daniel Winkler, for an interview to discuss his work on the super fun G.I. Joe Operation Blackout console game. Let's get stuck in, shall we? I'm very excited to say that we have managed to get the CEO of IguanaBee, the developer behind G.I. Joe Operation Blackout, Daniel Winkler, on the show today to discuss the game itself, the development, design, and even more. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Daniel. How are you doing?
Hey, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be on your show. We have been seeing your show, so it's a real pleasure.
Awesome. So you're the viewer that's watching our videos. No, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And it's so surreal to hear that you actually watch those videos. That's great. I mean, first off, I'm absolutely loving this game so far. And I did mention this a little while ago before we got started recording, but as a lifelong fan of the brand, it's just so awesome to see G.I. Joe back on consoles in a fun and engaging way. I mean, before we get into the game itself, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this line of business, please?
Well, okay, I am a software engineer, but since kid I was always in love with video games.
Yeah.
I wanted to work in video games since kid, but I didn't expect to be making my own business.
Yeah.
That just happened in the process with some friends at school. We started creating a project that ended up being a company. Then we got another opportunities. We founded another company with part of those friends. And time were very rough being an entrepreneur, and I'm the last remaining of those crew.
Wow.
Yeah, because on 2013 there was having not so much income and a lot of debts and trying to make our own projects, and the guys got tired. Yes, it was a very difficult moment, but when they left, we continued and started to do bigger stuff. We made a game for PlayStation first party. It was called Monster Bag.
Oh yeah.
And that was it was for PlayStation Vita and was amazing. It was story driven, like kind of in a casual look for the gameplay, but it was a puzzle platformer, stealth, and point and click game.
Right,
Even Sony couldn't set what group of game
yeah,
it
like
belongs.
its own genre, basically. Yeah.
We made all the animations hand by hand.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a very hard production, but I was mainly the only programmer at that time with some interns in the process.
Yeah.
But we managed to grow with that one, and then we made a lot of different games. We worked for Google. We have worked also with Cartoon Network in some tiny games too. And last year we released a party game called Head Snatchers.
Yeah.
It was all about having fun with your friends in your home. And we embarked since last year, we embarked into G.I. Joe Operation Blackout, and it's our biggest project so far. And we are very proud of what we released. And we are very happy that the fans are loving the title. So
that's amazing. So, how did that Hasbro gig come about then? I mean, was it did they kind of find you out, or I mean, what was the how did that work?
This came from fans to fans. We were finishing Head Snatchers,
yeah,
and it was only some little details and porting stuff, and we knew for some news that there was coming a new film for G.I. Joe, and we said, why we don't make a G.I. Joe game? It will be very cool. And we now have the maturity, we have the expertise, we can gather the team for making this, and
yeah.
So we started to plan a great game, because we have to present to Hasbro, and it should be a very good one. So we made a very good proposal with a very defined plan, and Hasbro and Game Me loved it, so they were into that, and
that's
and
awesome.
The story.
That's so cool. So did you have to travel to Hasbro HQ in Rhode Island to do the pitch, or was it all via kind of video call and stuff?
Part of video call, and also we have a company that introduced us to Hasbro. It's called SIP7. We always work with SIP7 to present to different publishers, and they made an amazing job. And we're all very tight partners, and they gave us the opportunity to present to Hasbro. Yes, it was online, everything. There was some
Cool.
plans to travel during this year, but
yeah.
COVID. Yes,
Of course, yes. The biggest blocker of 2020, unfortunately.
the good thing is that in January we could met Game Mill because we made a mid place. This game we co-produced it with Fair Play Labs. We invited Fair Play Labs in the very early in the development because it was a very huge game. We needed a partner, so they were a great partner, and they are based in Costa Rica. So it was a middle ground to meet all the teams. So we went in January to Costa Rica, and Game Mill went there too, and we had some meetings there, even some fun moments.
Amazing. So the actual game that you pitched Hasbro, I take it didn't look anything like we're seeing now, because otherwise I'm guessing they would have given you direction to use the kind of classified line designs and stuff like that. So did you, in the pitch, was that kind of just did you actually mock up a game, or did you do screenshots? I mean, how did the pitch work?
Well, it was a little of all stuff. First was this has a lot of process. First the pitch, then the GDD, the technical documentation, and the prototype.
Yeah.
And also we had to make clear the art we were thinking of. So it was a real investment because we started to work in the project. They were very enthusiastic on this, and Game Mill too. And since this could take so much time, and we didn't have that much time, we started to invest in the game before getting the contract ready.
Yeah.
So we created some characters with the art we proposed.
Right.
And presented. It was awesome, and there was everything approved at that point. And in some moment, Hasbro told us that they wanted to present this new line of toys, and we thought it was a great opportunity. And instead of using our own models, we wanted to bring the joy of having the video game with the toys. So involved those models into the game.
That's awesome. And then funny enough, actually, myself and Justin, who do a lot of the videos together, we discussed in depth about the fact that we love the fact that we've got the action figures right here, and then the game is like, it's like being a kid again. It's like marrying that universe up and everything. So yeah, that was a really cool way to go. So you guys actually did some, was it like designs based on the kind of classic kind of looks, or did you do something kind of completely different for your pitch? Did you guys design something kind of fresh?
It was something kind of fresh, but we always started with the idea of having this with the classic look.
Yeah.
With the shaded, we wanted to look like a comic book. So our proposal started with that too.
Awesome. That's really cool. And yeah, I suppose a lot of that has obviously stayed within the game, because obviously there's a lot of that kind of like with the animations and the cutscenes and stuff. You've got like the pages with like the cartoon panels and stuff on it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really nice that. Funnily enough, when I first saw that it was going to be kind of like, the cutscenes were going to be more kind of 2D animated, but not like animated, if that makes sense. If they were just going to be like kind of like almost like the motion comic style. It wasn't until I actually saw a couple of the cutscenes that I was like, oh, that's really cool, and it actually really works. There's one scene where I think Cobra Commander and all of his cronies, it's like early on in the game, and they're like talking to each other and they're planning to infiltrate the flag. That scene was great, and there was like so many characters in there, and I was just like, it's Tomax and Zaymot and Major Blood and Baroness, and yeah, so that's really awesome.
That was the main idea. We wanted to have as many characters in the game as possible. Of course, we could not put all into playable characters, so we wanted to put as many as we can in the different places on the story.
Amazing. And yeah, it works really well. I really enjoyed that. Like, it's a great way of seeing some characters that you're never going to get the chance to kind of play as. I mean, well, let's talk about the development aspect of the game now. You mentioned in some detail regarding the development of the game in interviews and in the digital deluxe art book as well, which is really cool. I really enjoyed that little edition that we got for any Xbox users that accompanies some of the releases. It takes a huge amount of work and a number of different aspects coming together to make a game like this happen. So how did you and your team kind of start the process? What was the starting point?
Well, we wanted to make a game that it remembers it was based on nostalgia.
Yeah.
So we wanted to be very nostalgic to remember the 80s series.
Yeah.
So it was mostly that's the reason we put also the local multiplayer to play together, like in that era.
Yeah.
We started with the gameplay itself. We wanted it to be a kind of a third-person shooter, but with some team-based and strategy around that. We had at the beginning was a little too strategic, and we wanted it to be a little more fast-paced, so we had to change some of the aspects of the game. And for example, we added the jump. We didn't include at the beginning,
right,
because it was based more on cover system and stuff. But the game was mutating along with the gameplay.
Yeah.
And we had this plan of having this game made with all these factors, and especially we wanted to put and it was on the proposal to have a Cobra side also, not playing only as Joes.
Yes.
And having all that in mind, we created the story based on those points. We started to say we want to present these characters, these characters, and to have a good amount of variability, and that it will not be illogical to have that character in that place if in the next moment it should be in the other place. So we had kind of a lot of logistic before creating the story per se.
Yeah.
And we even had to change a little in the middle because the story needed. So in the beginning we were having kind of a Joe Cobra missions, but because of the story we had to adapt those a little.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's another thing, I guess, isn't it? Like the actual story aspect. How did you guys approach that as well? Like the actual story, like the MacGuffin that's going to be in there, which is this kind of like mystic item that Snake Eyes is looking for. I don't want to give too much away because, one, I'm only about a quarter of the way through because I tend to take my time with these games. Like I'll complete a mission and then I'll leave it for a little while, and then I'll complete another mission, then I'll leave it for a little while because I want to draw it out. And especially with this game, I just want to kind of really spread this one out and enjoy it. So there's a lot of aspects to the story. There's obviously 17 missions as well. So
yes,
in the campaign. So I mean, you're talking about a fairly big, storyline to kind of do. So I mean, was that something that you did, or was it you and your team, or did you get someone else to come in and do the writing on that? I mean, how did that work?
Hasbro was very open to help us with if we needed. But they wanted to hear our story first, and we created that as a team. And in this story was involved also Sid 7, because some guys from Sid 7, Carlos and Jacob, were very, very fans of G.I. Joe.
Awesome.
So we wanted to have that there, and they really put together a very cool story. I mostly helped on some ideas, but they created the kind of the story per se. So
that's awesome.
And I wanted it to be, as I said, very based on the 80s cartoon, because I love the Real American Hero.
Yeah.
And you can see there that there's some spice elements from the Pyramid of Darkness, the Worlds
Without End. Worlds Without End. Yeah.
Yes.
That's my favorite Sunbow cartoon, actually. Yeah, love that.
Oh, and also the Resolute film. It was also inspirational for this. So we have a lot of different other aspects, but those were kind of the key ones in this process.
I take it a lot of the story as well developed and changed as you kind of built the game too, right? Like as you continued on with the development of the game, I guess that story had to change, or had to, you had to change elements of it as you went along. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, well, that was the story. The story was approved by Hasbro. We put a lot of elements. I cannot tell you at this point because
I haven't completed it yet.
Yeah. No, you haven't completed the game, so I don't want to spoil the game. But when you got those moments, you will see what I'm meaning.
Sweet. I can't wait for that. I'm going. You do realize now, after this interview, I'm going to be straight on that computer game, and I'm going to be trying to complete it by tonight, just to email you and say, "Oh, I found it. It's amazing."
Excellent. And well, also about the story, Cid 7 created most of the core of the story, but my people in my team, game designers, were creating the little dialogues you get in the different in-game moments.
Yeah, the little cutscenes and everything. Yeah.
So it was a very long work, and everything passed through Hasbro. They were approving. They were very happy with what we were doing. So it was very cool working with them.
That's great.
It was nothing restrictive.
We were so excited when the news broke that there was going to be a game coming out, like a console game. I remember it was something like one of the either the wholesalers or one of the companies out here posted something like a title. I think it was just like GeneralsJoes Operation Blackout, and we were like straight away we were news bursting, going, "Oh my god, there's going to be a console game, and it's going to be for Xbox and Nintendo and and all that kind of stuff, and PlayStation," and we were just like, "Oh my god!" So I remember the just that feeling of that, when that came out, and we were all surprised when we saw the trailer because, like, if you think back to what we've had in the past, we've had some really fun games, like the arcade game. Were any of those previous games, were any of those kind of like, did you guys look back at those or play those at all to kind of, to not to get inspiration necessarily, but just as a throwback thing, like the arcade game where you've got the screen coming towards you and just like the characters, and you can just go side to side and shoot? Have you ever played that game before?
Myself not, but some in the team did, and I myself looked videos of those too, because here in Chile we didn't got those games at the time. So, but we took inspiration in. We saw again the movies, the comic books, the series to remember all those feelings, to get new ideas on what we missed, and to share the same common base with the whole team.
Yeah,
so
that's
because
great.
some of us were more into Yayo than others, so and now are all into Yayo, so that was very cool. And about there was not so much marketing, because the way the game is, it was kind of a bet for us, for Game Mill 2, because as I said, it was our biggest game so far.
Yeah,
we had to prove ourselves. Game Mill had to prove themselves too, and we only had a year to make the game.
Man, that is a tough ask, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was tough for us, for Game Mill, for play. So we had to work very, very organized, have a very good plan to manage that. So
that's amazing. And as I was saying before I went on a completely different tangent, when the trailer came out for Operation Blackout, we were blown away. We were like, wow, this is so much better than we were expecting. Because like I said, like previously, we'd had the Rise of Cobra game, I think most recently, and that was, in terms of like console games. And as it was okay, it was fun, but like, it was literally one of those classic movie tie-in games. So it didn't really have that much in it necessarily. And then when we saw this one and we saw all the different, like the fact that it was a 17 mission campaign, and it was like, cutscenes and characters left, right and center, and really fun, like different situations and locations, and we just were like, wow, this is fun, this is great. So yeah, you've at least got two hardcore fans in myself and Justin, and the other guys on the show as well, actually. So obviously you did, in terms of the design process, how did you guys like land on the alternate skins? Because in the art book, I saw a lot of talk about, you guys had kind of, you guys have had, you know, like you were throwing around ideas for what the alternate skins could look like, and you had like some fun ones and some kind of really cool homages from the past. Like I know there's a Tiger Force Duke in one of the skins, and there was like the Chef Roadblock, which was amazing. So I mean, how did you? I mean, was it a case of just like, you know, throwing all of these different like character designs out and going, oh yeah, let's go with that one. No, yes, no. Was it kind of like that?
Well, basically, we wanted to have 2 alternative skins in the game.
Yeah.
We had to present that to Game Mill, to Hasbro too. One will be related to the campaign per se. For example, if some guys are in the Arctic, to have the clothing for the Arctic and stuff. If they are in the jungle, they need to be more camouflage. But the second one, we wanted to be more funny one, because Joe also had particular humor, and we wanted to select the most interesting. For example, my favorites are the Roadblock Chef and the Zartan Biker.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yes, with the mohawk and everything. Oh, the Ninja Force Zartan is incredible. I'm glad you guys went with that one. Seriously, so glad with that.
And the team, we have different concept artists, and they were putting together stuff. The art director and the producer were seeing those and correcting, and we all together were designing, okay, this one, and then presented to Game Mill and Hasbro, and those are the ones we have.
Brilliant. So awesome. I really liked as well, like the kind of Lady J one you had, where she had like the sleeveless top and the hat. I thought that was like a really neat like kind of design for her as well. That was awesome.
Yes, I appreciate the great team I have here, and also the team that is the rest of the team that worked in Joe, because this involved people of not only IguanaBee and Fair Play, but from Argentina, from Brazil, from Costa Rica too, from United States, from Canada, from Estonia.
Wow.
It was
international heroes right there.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And also I want to mention as well, the environments that you guys created look really cool as well, like especially when again on the art book you see some really nice kind of like, I suppose, like overall like kind of, you know, big shots of the whole location and everything. And yeah, I really like how you guys kind of, I don't know, it's not necessarily, you know, they're not like recognizable from like cartoons or anything like that, but they're like really cool industrial complexes and, you know, desert bases and stuff like that. Some really awesome stuff. I mean, how did you guys approach the designs for those? Because I know there was talk about you guys like you designed like a Terradrome level or something, and then decided against using it.
Well, that's kind of 2 questions.
Sorry, that's about 10 questions in there.
Yes, I will go with the environments first.
Yeah.
In the original the proposal, we already had designed the environments we wanted to use. The main idea was to have a lot of variety, but also to have the flavor that the Joe has on when they go to the different places. For example, you see in the chapters the Arctic, how that kind of look, the desert. This is a new desert, but has the flavor of all those too.
Yeah.
Well, also with the other stuff we wanted to put in there is that we wanted to be around the globe and to kind of touch different places, and that's the reason. For example, we have the Death Valley representing the United States. We have and obviously in the cutscenes you see the White House too. But also we have Japan, of course. We have Costa Rica.
Nice.
Yes, to present more here. We have Austria. We have what else?
Cobra Island. Is Cobra Island on that one?
Yes, the one of the levels.
Yeah.
Is, yeah, that's part of the second question.
Awesome.
We have the environments as designed from the beginning, but we wanted to see how they will be, and that will be based on the level design. So we started designing different stuff, and most of the places were more open to create different moments, but we wanted to have an important base that was the final base.
Yeah.
And we were seeing the different possibilities, the Cobra Island, the Terrordrome,
The Silent Castle's another one, isn't
the
there?
Silent
Yeah.
Castle.
Yeah.
And we were designing around those, and we ended up mixing kind of all those together to make a new stuff.
Awesome.
So it's a new base, core base, but on an island. So, and has some elements from all of those. For example, the original. Well, if I think I can tell that the original terror drum we created involved that the first part of the level you were in a tank.
Yes.
And then when you are inside of destroy the doors to go to inside the terror drum, and has more this shape of the terror drum based on what we wanted on the story and the experience. We had to change that. It has some part of those elements too, but you will see that it changed.
Awesome. Yeah, I like how you're trying to not spoil things for me. I appreciate that very much. But don't worry, like I have seen a lot of it. It's just that I haven't personally gone through it yet. So you recently highlighted the fact that you will be creating expansion elements based on feedback. Is it likely to be that we can get more missions or locations as well, or is that kind of off the card? Is that off the table, or can you not talk about that at all?
If I talk about that, I will have to kill you.
Perfect answer on that one. Moving swiftly on. So yeah, I mean, before we go on, is there anything you can say in a vague sense that people can hear about the expansion stuff? Like, can you talk about how they can give feedback? Because that was mentioned in an interview, wasn't
it? We are about the expansion stuff and all the new stuff. I cannot tell so much at this point, but we have been discussing a lot with Game Mill and Hasbro. But about the feedback, we are very open to hear feedback, to hear ideas, because we want this game to be even better than it is right now. For example, we created a week 1 patch for the game too.
Yes.
And involved a lot of tweaks that we could make for the game on time, so we introduced them after. For example, in that week 1 patch, you will find improvements in the difficulty, some more optimizations, improvements, some bugs in the animations, lip sync for the in-game cutscenes. So
that's quite a big patch, really, isn't it? I mean, it's a lot of stuff that you guys have basically developed another game to kind of attach to it. That's impressive stuff. Impressive.
You can send your feedback to PR@IguanaBee.com, and feel free to do that. Or if you want, you can do also through our Facebook page or Instagram, Twitter.
So I'll put those links in underneath the video as well. So if you guys want to give any feedback, then yeah, just go nuts with all those links and enjoy. Let's talk about the third-person shooter aspect. I mean, what made you land on that for the style of gameplay? Was there any particular reason that you went with that? Is there an element of seeing the character involved that you're kind of playing as? Is that a lot to do with it? Sorry if I just spoiled your answer.
Yes. Well, as you said, yes, we wanted to have this shooter mechanics, of course, is Joe, and we wanted to have it in third person instead of first person, so you can see the character. See, for example, when you are using the vehicle, see the vehicle, and the camera in that position allows you to see also the environment and all the different, and also if some stuff are happening, for example, in the USS Flag, all the Sky Strikers are flying there.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was a fun level. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the first one we put in the proposal? We wanted to have this battle in the Flag. And well, going back to a question you did before on the story, we always had the idea on the story to have that Cobra commander took over the world, and there was a few Joes scattered around the world. Kind of a rebellion stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
How it was, the rest of the story was created after, but we had kind of that since the beginning too.
That's awesome. Kind of like a Renegades vibe as well on that one.
Exactly. That's the idea.
Love that.
And we also, since we were planning on doing that, and we say, the big toy, the USS flag that was huge.
Yeah, 7 by 4 or something. Yeah, crazy big.
Yeah, we wanted to have that to play in the flag. Was the main environment we wanted to include in the game. So, and we wanted to make it cool all the times you play there. I will not spoil you so much, but the idea of having this kind of a war having in front of you while you are taking out the flag. Yeah, it was very important.
What I really liked about the flag, that first level with Cobra Commander and Storm Shadow, or that initial level, was the fact that when you went inside the flag, and I read this on the art book as well, but the fact that you had incorporated the Resolute circular, like what they have in the flag in Resolute, effectively, which is that kind of big circular room where they all it all opens out and they look over and you see all the people working on all the stations. I really enjoyed that kind of attention to detail, I guess. Like, and when you're in that room with all of the 3D models of like the flag and the Sky Striker and all that kind of stuff, like in that computer room, I just thought was really beautifully, like visually was amazing.
Thanks. No, as I said before, we really wanted to make this game. We were very passionate about that. So our most work was be attentive to the details and to leave in also little details that kind of Easter eggs.
The comics is a good touch as well. Little collectible comics. That was a cute little touch.
Yes, that's also thanks to Hasbro allowed us to include those into the game. We almost included into the game the series.
Oh,
but they released it for free then. So
of course, yeah, I guess, yeah.
So it was no meaning to have this inside of the game.
That'd have been wicked. That'd have been so cool. What I really, as a fan, love doing, and this I did it on the gameplay video where I was actually playing. I started just looking around when there was no action going on, and I was just like looking at the vehicles and really getting a good eye of the vehicles. And what I really loved seeing, I'm a good friend of Guy Cassaday. My wife and I, Kate, we love the Cassadays. They're really nice. And Guy designed a lot of the G.I. Joe vehicles from back in the day, including the Persuader, which is prominent in the game. Like it's a really cool vehicle in that. But what I love is the fact that you guys kept like the decos and the tampos that go on the vehicles, including his name, which appears on the front fender, as in like CA55, etc. So he kind of snuck his name in it and got away with it, which I thought was amazing. So like I remember like taking a picture of that and like shouting at Kate saying, "Look, Guy's name's on this. We need to send him a picture of it." So yeah, we love that.
I saw you in the other chapter of the podcast. You showed that too.
Yeah, exactly. I went right up to it and was like, "Look, there's his name." I loved that. I thought it was wicked. That is, I love the Persuader as well. It was quite a close vehicle to my heart. So to see that being used as an actual vehicle, that was great. Was there a plan to use that in the game, as in like an actual vehicle level, and did you have to change your mind on that? Was that something I read?
You cannot make a video game of G.I. Joe without having vehicles there.
True.
They were always there, but which vehicle was the one that we were selecting a little later in the game? For example, we had in the beginning a level planned with the bridge layer.
That was it. That's what I read. Yes.
Yeah, and the bridge layer was one of the first ones in being modeled after the travel bubble.
Amazing.
But the problem was that the level wasn't that fun,
right?
And we prefer to have it fun before only having that there. So we use it. We put it on the levels so you can see the bridge layer, but sadly you cannot use it.
I think I read that on the actual video as well, the gameplay video, when I was going through the art book at the end, and I said, man, I know they said it wasn't fun, but I'd have loved to play that level with the bridge layer. That would have been so awesome. But yeah, that's really cool. I really thanks for telling us that.
We were planning to use the bridge layer on Dead Valley.
Yes.
To go from places that you need to escort him and to escort it, and he will put the bridges to connect the two different part of the canyon. So
that's awesome. Oh man,
yeah.
Okay, just saying, expansion, just saying, do it. How much fun did you guys have in coming up with all like the gear and the special moves for each of the characters? Because they all have like iconic stuff, and also what's interesting is that Sci-Fi doesn't, you know, he's a completely different character in your game in a sense, and he's got so many cool like drones and all sorts. I mean, how much fun did you guys have coming up with all these things?
Well, that's one of the most important stuff.
Yeah, totally.
We came with in the initial concept, we had the idea of having these ultimate powers based on every character, different character, and we even designed those there. For example, the Lady J one, it was inspired by the Pyramid of Darkness when she used a spear to have the bubble,
yeah,
and to save Flint and her from from drowning
in the purple liquid or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah,
love that.
Yes, so that was the inspiration for that ultimate. Some ultimates had to change in the time. One of those were the Duke one. Duke originally was calling airstrikes,
yeah,
to drop some bombs, but the problem was that didn't work in two senses. One, with the story, it will not work everywhere.
True. Yeah.
We have the Blackout sphere, and the second one is that doesn't work in spaces with
a roof. Yeah,
with roof. Yeah, so.
Yeah, like underground calling an airstrike and having it like.
And we have a lot of facilities and stuff, so you will not be able to use the ultimate in all those spaces. It will be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And for example, if you're playing the local multiplayer, you will have a hard time playing if they're always in those places. So we wanted to balance that, and that's the reason we changed it to this grenade that started to make this area effect.
Absolutely.
And as a tip there, when we were originally thinking about this strike from Duke, he will call the strike, and while Bill will come and will appear the.
Oh, that would be so awesome! Oh, that's so cool.
That was the idea.
That's amazing. That would have been wicked. Yeah, and again, another character to kind of squeeze in there as well. Because you've only got like 600-700 of them to squeeze in. So yeah.
And about the maneuvers, the evasive maneuvers, we created those a little further in the game. Where after testing the game, we realized that. It was lacking. It was kind of starting to, even with the ultimate, started to feel too typical. So we wanted to spice a little more. We in IguanaBee wanted always to introduce some innovation. So we created these evasive maneuvers. And
that I never used, but at the beginning of of my walkthrough, of my gameplay.
Yes. For example, the main idea is to reinforce also the personalities of the characters. The ninjas will have this movement like ninja that make them move faster, go to a place, make some damage, and to run faster back, and even combine them with the katana blow, so you can go do this fast movement, kill, and also combined with the ultimate. Original, the ultimate, you kind of target the ultimate of the ninjas, and then he disappears in a smoke and appears
brilliant
there. But then it was a little uncomfortable to make that way, and since we created the maneuver in the other way, we created a variation that allows to combine both. So
that's cool.
You see a lot of enemies there. You go with the maneuver, and it put in the middle of all of them and
Makes
use the ultimate.
sense. And then you do your ultimate. Yeah. You see, that
Yeah.
would revolutionize the way I played that first video. And it's funny because you emailed me and you said, here's a bit of advice. And I was like, damn, there's evasive maneuvers in it. How did I not know this?
That's a problem I saw when I saw in your video, that some people tend to skip the
tutorials.
text on tutorial, and since we added the maneuvers later on the game, they were not on the tutorial. So
you see, because I thought I was being really conscientious when I was going through that and going, hey guys, here's a little thing that's popped up. What could this mean? Yeah, but that is hilarious. That I was just bumble fudging my way through the entire thing. But I'm doing well at the moment. I passed the Zartan level finally, and the only reason that took me a while was because I kept dying with no, running out of ammo, and then when I'd come back, I'd still have no ammo, and then I'd have to run around trying to find it again. So it was taking me a while to get past Zartan, but I did eventually. So I'm happy with myself.
So as I said in the patches, a lot of improvements in the difficulty. And coming back to a question you made before, is an answer. We put into the game sci-fi, especially because it's a cool character, but there is not so much lore around him.
True,
so that allowed us to be very creative, because all the other characters we have to be around what is already done.
Yeah.
But with him, we could create everything almost.
Was that a random choice though, or do you have some fans of sci-fi in the team there? Because that was really cool. Yeah, I thought it might be.
Yes, yeah. The toy is very cool. So that's the reason. And not seeing him so much in the series, in the comic and stuff, is why not? And now that we have more technology, it makes more sense. So
yes, absolutely. I love the drone edition. I thought that was great. Really cool. And how he sits on it and it floats there every now and again. It's just really cute. I love that.
Yeah. And also, since he works more in the back, because he is a Havoc in the classes we created.
Yes.
We thought that was necessarily a maneuver that was more defensive than being movement based. That's the reason puts the
shield in front of him and everything, doesn't it? Yeah, that's so cool. And I really like the fact that his weapons are really powerful. Like his pistol does just as much damage, it feels like that when he just has his laser pistol. And because I found that I love the breacher that Roblox has, and I love the weapon that Sci-Fi has too, where you hold it and you see the power coming up and then shoots. And I don't know, it's like there's that element of kind of suspense where you're kind of going, come on, and then bang, and you take him out. But Sci-Fi doesn't seem to need to be accurate. You can get it near the enemy, and you see him just going, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, that's good.
So some tips from since we have been playing the game a lot, some of the guys, what they do is pointing to the ground next to the guys and make them blow with that.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna try that more often, I think.
And about the roadblock,
yes,
since you mentioned the breacher. Well, the main idea of roadblock is to be in front of all the enemies and be kind of it's a heavy striker, so
brute force kind of thing.
Yeah. So the idea is to have the guys near him, and that's the reason that I think it's not measured that much because of visual, but the closer you are with the enemies, the more damage the breacher makes.
Yeah.
So the idea here is that you run with the maneuver to hit one of the enemies, and then when you are with them, you start using the breacher, killing all from close.
Awesome.
And since he has more armor, he can resist that. And then you can, for example, run back with the maneuver again.
This is all great information. I wish I'd had before I played it, but no, that's really good. I mean, I kind of picked up on that a little bit with that Roblox level and Lady J level. I was using Roblox a lot on that one, and yeah, again, he's a real fun one to use. That weapon is just brilliant, and yeah, the fact you can kind of have it like a constant, steady stream of it as well and move it. That was really neat too. Yeah, cool. Well, Here's a question for you. It's not necessarily about the actual, the game itself, but like, I mean, how much of a challenge has it been to actually create and develop something like this during the current climate that we're in? Like the fact that you guys are, I know that must be like the hard. It must be hard to do when you don't have the impending doom of the Armageddon floating around in the background.
Yeah, it was. Well, we had a tight schedule since the beginning. By the end of last year, we were also having here the kind of the same riots you had in the United States.
Yeah.
And the thing was that we couldn't go so much to the office on those days, so it was the kind of a lot of pressure to finish some stuff in there and not being prepared. The good stuff around that was that we prepared for a second appearing of the riots. They appear again, so we made a plan to be able to work from home if something like that happened. So when the COVID appeared here, that was in March. Before there was kind of a obligatory quarantine, I sent all the people home and I started to test the system and to test the internet and their locations to fix the issues they were having. So it was good, and we were all safer because of that, because they were all secluded. But the main issue was that even with all those plans, it's different to work there than working in the office, and we had to learn again how to work together, make a different kind of schedule for the daily basis. We had to kind of relearn how to test the games, because usually in the office we had all sharing with everyone, having the moment we tested and all together testing, and that was lost. And some aspects of the game we couldn't fix in terms of gameplay because of that, and was bad because we realized some issues very later on when we realized ways to test together. So that wasn't cool.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The other stuff is that we had I had to add an additional producer to the project, because having all the people scattered in their houses needed more production than being at the office. But the good thing is that after all those months, we learned to work that way, and we still have the cool energy we had like in the office. So we didn't need to continue having an office per se. So we kind of changed the way we were working for everyone. Now all the team members, if they want to work from their homes or want to work from a different city, they can work there, and there is no issue. Before, we were all together only here in Santiago, so that was cool learning. Now everyone has their possibilities. The bad thing was that during the COVID, I was paying a very expensive office.
Wow. Yeah.
An empty one, and we just moved it there because of the riots. I moved the office from the place we were before to a one that will be less affected, and it was a bigger office and was very cool, and we were very happy. And
then you can't go there anymore. That's
we used it for only 2 months. So it was so bad, but it was a big learning year.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff happened, but the good thing is that we ended up having the game, releasing the game, and the fans love it. So that's what we're aiming for. So
yeah, congratulations on doing that while all that was going on. That's insane. Something else I really loved about the actual game was the music too. Like I managed to get hold of the additional soundtrack that came with the original 80s cartoon score, and it's one of my favorite kind of additions to for the digital deluxe. I mean, how important was it for you to have that included in the deluxe version of the game?
No, it was very, very important. Not only that music, but the music we created was kind of based also on original series ones.
I did notice that as well. Like, there's that scene with Cobra when you hear that. It's like that kind of like the kind of like the keyboard being like that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's very very similar to that. Like, it's almost like it almost sounds like they've thrown a couple of sound effects in there, like like one of those like Star Trek doors opening as well. It sounds that real kind of like interesting vibe sound. But that was really cool to hear.
Yeah, we work with the power up music. It's a thing we always use for our audio. Is almost part of IguanaBee at this point. And they are amazing. They always advocate to what they are doing. They saw all the series, all the movies I was passing them, so they got involved into the music of the show before creating all the music and sounds. And also there was a lot of sounds we couldn't fix, different stuff on the release, but are also fixed on the patch. So
Brilliant.
Yeah, there is that too, because there was a lot of sound effects, and it was so much work.
I can imagine. Jeez, yeah. Like when it's all kicking off in a battle, and you've got music, and you've got the laser blasting, and all of the voices and everything. That's another thing. Like, the voice acting must have been a right pain to get done in this kind of environment as well. Was that a similar kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, that was helped by Gaming and Hasbro to get the team that make the voice acting.
Wicked.
And we have our game designers with them, presenting the spirit of every dialogue, and also to check that they have the right accent, because we wanted to have this particular details that every character has to notice where they come from. And
that's great.
So it was a very important part too, because we could screw it a lot if we didn't make that process well.
So finally, we've had a lot of feedback on the Operation Blackout videos we've posted, and one thing that comes up a lot is the lack of an online multiplayer option. Was there a reason for excluding that, and has that been a consideration for inclusion in the future?
Well, as I said before, we made this game based on nostalgia.
Yeah.
We wanted to make it very nostalgic. That's the reason of the art style, the story, the whole very tied together to the 80s series. And that's also the plan on having the local multiplayer, like when you were young, playing with your friends in the same room, and have that spirit. We also came from making a local multiplayer party game, so we had that there. The only issue is that we didn't expect to have the COVID situation in the process. Yeah, but we would love to have an online version of the game in the future.
Okay, I think that probably will suffice for a lot of the guys that were kind of pressing us on that one. And yeah, I mean, I'm personally very much I'm a campaign guy. I always have been. So I'm all about the storyline. I've never really been one for, doing like going online and doing like the multiplayer stuff. But I know there are a lot of people that do. So I'm sure that would be like satisfying for them to hear that might be happening in the future. That's great. Well, Daniel, that brings us to the end of the interview. Thank you so much for jumping on and chatting with me. We've gone over way more than I thought we would. I apologize. I have talked your ear off on that one, I think. But thank you so much for jumping on and speaking to us about G.I. Joe Operation Blackout.
Oh, thank you again for inviting me, for letting me be in your show, and to explain the stuff happening behind the scenes.
It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. Would you be up for coming on again, like in the future?
Yes.
If, obviously with more, I'm thinking like more DLC things and more stuff like that might be around the corner. I'm not putting words in your mouth, I swear. But like with anything that in the future that's coming out, would you be up for coming on the show again and chatting about that stuff? Awesome. Thank you so much. That's a legal contract, verbal contract, and it's legally binding.
No problem.
Thank you so much. Anyway, like I said as well, like guys, if you want to follow and you want to contact IguanaBee Daniel, etc. We'll have all those links underneath this video for you to kind of chase up and ask questions and pose ideas and so on and so forth. So go absolutely nuts. I hope you've had a good time, bud. And like I said, we'd love to have you back on as soon as we can. So awesome. That's it for this instalment of the Full Force News Burst. Thank you to my awesome guest, Daniel Winkler from IguanaBee. See you next time, and as always, full force. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter at The Full Force, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/The Full Force, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback or questions. We have also started a Patreon page, so if you want to see your name up in lights on these videos or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.